Hello everyone, thank you all so much for joining in. This is Dylan from the Trini Gardener channel. I'm back in the garden again and I'm super excited to talk to you all about today's topic, which is how to replenish, re-amend your garden beds so that you can have a nice, good, consecutive and bountiful crop. Now this is a raised bed that you all have seen. I showed you this raised bed in my video on how to build a raised bed garden and how easy it was to do that. So if you want to see how I did this garden, which is super easy, just really no tools at all involved, really nothing complicated at all involved, have a look at that video that I will put up somewhere here, and you will see basically how easy it is. Now in this garden bed right here, I had many things growing a few months ago. So for instance, the first thing I had here was I had tomatoes. I had like 6 tomato trees, 3 by 3 tomato trees. Then I had some cabbage. I had lettuce, seasoning. There's still some bandonia here, shadow benny. There was also some okra right here. If I'm not mistaken, there was also there was pimento. So I grew some pimento here, and I grew some pimento here as well, right? So basically peppers. Growing up here, everything about it, tomatoes, peppers, cabbages, lettuce, even seasoning, they all would have drained a lot of nutrients from the soil. Now that doesn't mean the soil is completely useless. You can definitely use the soil again, but it needs amending, and that's very important. As home gardeners, we should be good stewards of the land that we're using. We're benefiting from it, we're getting something out of it, so we should have the habit of, over time, maybe after every growing season, maybe you do a crop of like tomatoes, and before you do the next crop of peppers here, you amend, you put back something. And I'll show you exactly what I do to amend this soil here, because I want to have a good bountiful harvest the next time that I grow something here. I think I'm going to put some peppers, some sweet peppers here. So I want those peppers to do well. Therefore I should give them not soil that's been depleted and drained, but rather soil that is teeming with organic life and has everything that I want in it, all the nutrients, to make sure that my crop is nice and healthy and strong and bountiful. The first thing that I'm going to do is pull back some of this leaf mulch, clear this away. Then I'm going to clear out the plants that I don't want. Not quite don't want, I'm just going to be replanting this somewhere else. And there's quite a lot of seed on this that I'm going to be using. So this is just getting relocated. Now that the bed is all cleared, I'm going to begin using a garden fork and just loosening up the soil. I would prefer to not have to disturb the soil, but when you grow in topsoil, it tends to get compacted. That's why it's better to grow in compost. So I'm just going to be loosening up the mixture I have here of compost and topsoil. I'm so happy that I didn't hurt this little guy by mistake. I'm always so happy to see this in the soil. It's a sign of a healthy soil all the time. Okay, so you finished that part. The rain is about to come down on us, however, so I'm going to have to continue this a little bit later. Okay, so the rain is finally finished. You're now getting a chance to come back out here. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be adding some amendments to the soil over here. What I'm going to be using is some homemade compost, which is the absolute best thing you can do in an organic garden, which is to, make your own homemade compost and apply that to your garden beds or even to your pots and your containers, into your planters. It really is the best kind of soil that you can get out there. If you actually notice, the soil in this raised bed is half topsoil on one side and then it's compost on the other side. Now, topsoil is not really the best option when you are growing anything, right? It's just in my opinion. The best thing really is going to be compost, simply because topsoil doesn't always have a lot of organic matter, and compost is pure organic matter. What organic matter in compost is going to do for your garden bed is that it's going to add structure to your soil, and it's going to create an environment in which you're going to have a nice ecosystem of microorganisms, right? Your beneficial bacteria, your beneficial fungi, and even bigger organisms such as your worms, your earthworms, and worms that will leave their castings, which is natural manure as well in your soil. So I'm going to apply that now. Okay, so come have a look at the compost that I have here. I have two types of compost. So look at the first one. You've seen this before if you saw my no-dig garden video. So this is some wood compost, right, from a rotten tree, right? So this is natural compost that comes from nature, which is really good. It will add good structure to the soil, as I said, good environment as well for the microorganisms, right? But it's also a good habit to not have one kind of compost. So this is going to already also add, because of the structure, good drainage and also water retention. Like one piece of wood like this, which is really humus, right? All of these things, look at how punky it is. Look how easy it breaks apart, right? This is going to hold on to so much of moisture that you're going to be actually saving on how much you have to water your plants. So this is the second set of compost that I'm going to be using, which is my homemade compost, my green waste compost made from kitchen scraps. Really, like, this is like in itself one of the best forms of organic fertilizer that you could use in your home garden, right? The only issue with this is that producing a huge amount can be you know, a bit of a challenge, right? But it's something that once you start it, you really get addicted to the whole process of composting, and no matter how much you make, it is going to be very, very beneficial. And you can even use this to make compost tea, which is a really good addition to any organic garden, right? Okay, so I'm just going to start dunking off some of this compost into the raised bed here. I like to mix it in, so that way you don't just have one set of soil, but you have like a mixture of what's going on. So I'm just going to start incorporating this to the top layer of my garden bed. It's important, however, if you ever have like wood compost and you have some big pieces of wood in your compost, that you don't incorporate that in the soil. Otherwise, the microorganisms are going to be focusing on breaking that down instead of focusing on working on your plants, and you're going to lose some nutrients, mainly nitrogen. All right, so just be careful if you have any big chunks. They're not the end of the world, right? It just means that you have to be a little more careful with what you're doing with them. So I'm just incorporating this compost, different kinds of compost, into the top layer here. You have to do much digging because you've already loosened up this soil. Wow, the smell of nice fresh compost is, you really can't beat it. Okay, so I'm just going to put a small layer of my homemade compost now. Just have a look at this. Look at how nice black it is. Everything is nice and broken down. It's really, really it's really nice. It's so light and fluffy. Just really good stuff. And you can make this for free, huh? Right at home, using your kitchen scraps. Okay. Have a look at this. You can't get into good compost and not find a earthworm or some kind of life in it. It's always, this is where they like to live. Yeah. So I'm just going to spread this out now, and that'll more or less be it. Okay, the rain is back down, but we don't have a choice. You need to finish this out. Otherwise, it's going to become night here. So I'm just going to spread out the homemade compost on the very top layer here, almost like a mulch. And this compost is actually going to work its way down into the raised bed, right? And it's actually going to help break up any clumps of soil anywhere. And not even mentioning the fact that the microorganisms are going to start working on breaking down stuff in the soil, working on feeding plants, when I eventually put plants inside here within about a week or two. Right, so that is as easy as it gets. Okay, now the very last thing that I'm going to be doing is putting a mulch on this good soil, because if you put so many good things into your raised bed and you just leave it exposed to the elements, you leave it exposed to the rain and to the sun, it's just going to get depleted by the sun, by the rain. So putting a mulch here, I'm going to be using a natural green mulch. This is made from fallen zabuka leaf and mango leaf here, dried leaf. I'm going to put this on the top, and this is going to help protect my soil. Very important, and also creates a good habitat for microorganisms as well. This is just that this you wouldn't want to incorporate in your soil, but rather on top of your soil. And you just gently spread it on the top. It doesn't have to be thick at all. It's actually better if it's not thick, because you don't want it to mat and completely restrict any airflow in your soil. And that's it. You can put your bed, your garden bed, to more or less to rest until you're ready to plant. And there you have it, the entire raised bed amended, the soil in it ready to go for the next growing season. Remember, it's very important to amend your garden beds as much as you can, and everything here cost me probably $20 to $30 to do, and it will be so, be so beneficial for the soil in my raised bed and for the overall organic gardens that I have going here. Remember that if you know someone could benefit from this information, then share this video with them to help them to grow more food for themselves and their family. And remember as well that you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and on Facebook, where we are happy to share pictures and videos from our garden. And we're happy to see pictures of your garden, so feel free to tag us when you have your nice harvest and message us if you have any questions at all, or leave a question below in the comments. Remember, as always, this has been Dylan from the Trini Gardener channel, reminding you to get up and get growing. Take care.